This episode of the LCTV News is brought to you by Encompass Health, North Shore Community College, Leo Inc., Brotherhood Credit Union, and Daoulas Brothers Construction.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the last episode of September for the LCTV News and the official start of fall. I'm Dani Vittori, and this week we follow a similar trend of education in several arenas and youth engagement for headlines. Events in the community calendar mix in more family-oriented activities, while Kings Beach takes center stage in this week's Lowdown. Here's the news for Friday, September 27th, 2024. The culmination of over a decade of work resulted in the official groundbreaking of a new Pickering Middle School last Friday the 20th. The $175 million project began in July, 4 years after the city submitted a statement of interest to the Massachusetts School Building Authority, and 7 years after a vote to approve a new Pickering and additional middle school in West Lynn failed. The 1,830 square foot building will be twice the size of the current Pickering and by extension has a capacity of 1,100 students, double the current enrollment. LCTV was on site for the groundbreaking ceremony. Here is a clip from the event.
Welcome to a very special day for the Lynn Public Schools and the City of Lynn. Although we can see that work has begun, we are here to officially memorialize the beginning of the construction of our new Pickering Middle School. This is a commitment to providing the best possible environment for learning and growth for our students in Lynn. It is a place where students will dream, explore, and discover their true potential. The design of this building was carefully planned to foster creativity, collaboration, and critical thinking, qualities that are essential for the leaders of tomorrow. Thanks to everyone's work here, the students of Lynn can look forward to a school with flexible spaces that will support their learning, a gymatorium and a black box theater, career technical programs that will help you look into the future, your future, and so much more within this school.
With moments like this, when we're all able to come together, to see the construction fencing going up and the dirt moving around, we can see that a better future is worth imagining, that we have it in our power to break down those confines of the past and build in its place the kind of gleaming, state-of-the-art learning facility that all of our students deserve.
The Department of Elementary and Secondary Education released the 2024 MCAS results on the 23rd at a Board of Elementary and Secondary Education meeting. Compared to 2023, there was a statewide improvement in science, technology, and engineering, stable results in math, and a decline in ELA. For Lynn specifically, when compared to 2023, there was a 3% increase in science for 5th graders, a 2% decrease for 8th graders, and a 2% increase for high schoolers. For math, grades 3 to 8, there was no change, and a 2% decrease for 10th graders. Finally, in ELA, grades 3 through 8 saw a 3% decrease, while 10th graders saw a 1% decrease. Despite the rainy conditions, the GLCC Clock to the Rock went on as scheduled the morning of the 21st. Over 150 runners participated in this event, ranging from full sprints to walking. Part of the Shoe City series, all participants claimed a medal at the end of the race and were treated to some free food.
We are here downtown in Central Square getting ready to run.
We have over 150 runners running today, the 5K, and hopefully the rain will ease up a bit so we can have a fun time.
We have a lot of excited runners here. A lot of local businesses are helping out. Rolly's Tavern has their food truck. We have Bentwater Brewing here. We have Chow Pizza, Atlantic Ambulance, King Movers. Lynn Public Health Department is here with us.
We got the rain, which is going to make everything just so much fun.
So this is the third of 4 races in the city that we've partnered together, and every runner for each race gets a quadrant of the medal, and at the end they'll have a nice big medal with the Shoe City Series emblem in the middle. So we're hoping to keep this a tradition.
We have lots of events planned, and looks like the runners are excited to be here. Even in the rain, it's not going to hold them back, so we're excited.
When you say critters, a lot of things come to mind. Raccoons, squirrels, but what about rats? The City of Lynn has programs to curb rodent activity, but they need help from you to be successful. Look for evidence of rats, such as burrow holes, gnaw marks, or droppings. Clean up any waste from your pets and do not store items against walls or on the ground. Shut them out by sealing cracks, filling in burrows, and putting screens on vents. Rats can fit through holes as small as ½ an inch, so close all potential entrances, no matter how tiny. Most importantly, if you have rats, have a bait box placed on your property and fill out a form to allow for the servicing of said box. Rats can survive on only 1 ounce of food a day and come out at night, so use flashlights to see where they're going and cover those burrows during the day. Contact the Inspectional Services Department for questions about the rodent abatement program. The Democus YMCA has announced the renewal and extension of their free membership program for 7th and 8th graders in Lynn. The program was unanimously approved by the YMCA of Metro North's Board of Directors. Beginning September 25th, the program will not only continue but expand to include 9th graders who are already enrolled in the program, allowing them continued access to the Y's programs and facilities. This free membership includes access to the fitness center, gym, rooftop garden, teen drop-in center, healthy teaching kitchen, and aquatic center. Additionally, support services are available, such as hot meals, behavioral health clinics, and technology resources. Meanwhile, across the way, the Lynn Museum was hosting their 2024 Fall Family Festival last weekend, with pumpkin painting, live music, and other activities for participants to enjoy.
Hi everyone, welcome. My name is Danica Thurston Chavez and I'm the Executive Director of the Lynn Museum and Art Center. Today we're here inside the museum for our Fall Family Festival and fundraiser. This is our first time doing a family-friendly fundraiser where we have a ton of games, we have prizes and raffles. It's just a great way for community to come, have fun as a family, and then also support the Museum and Art Center. All of the proceeds raised today go towards our education programs, so we're really thankful that we have such a great turnout. I also want to thank all of our sponsors for supporting this event and just making sure that all of our education programs remain free or low cost for all of us here in the community. So thank you so much. Rain or shine, we are having a good time, and happy fall.
Someone says good news, I get those old chronological order blues.
Bye, see you later.
Last week, the first informational session was held to update the community on the creation of a tree committee in Lynn. A survey was sent out in August asking residents if they wanted a tree committee, and if so, who should sit on it and what their goals would be. Of the 41 responses, the most popular answer was having members help with tree plantings, according to the city's urban forestry fellow, Erica Holm. Other responses included educating the community on the value of trees and having community members advise city staff on urban forestry plans. The meetings themselves will be once a month and likely virtual. On the goal line, the sports update. All LPS teams were victorious in football, beginning with Tech, who hit the road to face Montechusett last Friday night and emerged 27-26 victors. The Tigers opened the game with a bang, scoring on the first play of their opening possession, a 70-yard run. The youngsters made their impact known. First, it was Anthony Brown running for 142 yards and a touchdown. 130 of those yards came in the first half alone, before he was injured in the second half. Colin McGough scored the game-tying touchdown, but the star of the game was freshman Daniel Lirum. Not only did he kick the game-winning extra point, but he also recovered an onside kick the following play to secure the victory. Next up was Lynn English and a no-doubter, pounding Chelsea 42-0 at Manning Field for a 2-1 record. It was actually a close game for most of the first half. The Bulldogs only had a 7-0 lead, and Chelsea was approaching the red zone. But a pick six swung all the momentum back to English. They followed this up with a 2-yard run and 20-yard passing touchdown to take a 26-0 lead by halftime. The second half was much of the same, with the Bulldogs tacking on 2 and 51-yard TD rushes by the start of the fourth quarter. QB Jaden Rosario had an impressive night, collecting 150 yards through the air, including 3 touchdown passes. Limbert Thomas and Shane Knowlton Samard both grabbed touchdowns to lead the receiving corps. After falling last week, Kip picked themselves up and beat Boston Latin 14-6 over the weekend. Joven Machado went 17 for 24 with 157 yards and 2 touchdowns, both to Jose Chavarria, who recorded 9 receptions for 90 yards. With an 0-2 record and a roster full of young, inexperienced players, Classical had their work cut out for them against Medford. It was a fight all game, with 3 Rams registering sacks on the night. Classical was leading 12-0 in the third, due to 2 and 12-yard TD runs by junior Tyrene Ho. But a 62-yard TD and additional score with 3:12 left in the game put the Mustangs up 14-12. Undeterred, Ryan Booth, who only had 6 completions to that point, threw a perfect pass down the sideline to Haben Pierre for a 43-yard touchdown with a little over a minute remaining. The final score favored the Rams 18-2. Turning to boys soccer, it featured the traditional rivalry between Classical and English, with the Bulldogs emerging victorious 3-2. It was a back-and-forth battle. One team scored and the other would match. Tied 2-2, it was English finding the back of the net for the game winner. While Tech suffered a 5-0 defeat to Swampscott, but ended the week strong, besting Mystic Valley 3-2 the night of the 25th. The Spartans battled to a 1-1 tie with Linfield, thanks to a penalty kick goal in the final minute. They followed this with a loss to Malden Catholic on the 24th, and a 3-0 shutout victory against Cardinal Spellman the 25th. Aiden Martins scored twice in the win as his team moved to 4-2-1. Girls soccer saw similar results for the Spartans as they dropped a tight 1-0 contest to Marblehead, before rebounding to also take down Cardinal Spellman 2-0 on the 25th. Sofia Skabikis scored both goals. Classical also took care of business, traveling to Everett on the 24th and emerging with a 4-0 victory. Tatiana Lazo led the way, scoring half of the Rams' goals. In a city rivalry game which pitted Tech against Kip, the Tigers came out on top 3-1. They controlled possession and pace of play for most of the game. Their first 2 goals looked incredibly similar as they beat the defense for a chip shot right in front of the net where the Kip goalie had no chance. The Panthers did get one back, but another score by Tech resulted in the 3-1 final. A 3-0 shutout would indicate domination by Lynn Classical Volleyball, but the opposite was true, as they did not win any set by more than 3 points, including grinding out a 25-23 win in the final set. The Rams were led by the familiar names of Amanda Hughes with 13 kills and 14 digs, and Mia Pinto recording 26 digs, 2 kills, and an ace. Another 3-0 victory over Chelsea boosted their record to 8-1 on the year. St. Mary's was also the victor, 3-0 over Kip, but they fell 3-0 when they visited Cardinal Spielman on the 24th. Meanwhile, Lynn Tech moved to a 4-5 record, losing to Peabody 3-0 before scraping out a 3-2 win over Whittier Tech. Versus Whittier, it required a full team effort, with half a dozen Tigers contributing multiple digs, 3 of which were in the double digits. After losing the first set, the Tigers came back to win the next 25-8. They would go on to win the third and fifth sets. Zahara Belizar led the way with 26 assists, 9 digs, 3 kills, and 3 aces, followed closely by Anna Godi with 26 assists and 3 aces. Moving to the course, St. Mary's rebounded from a loss over the weekend, besting Arlington Catholic 181-153 and Danvers 171-147. The Rams moved above 500 in this young season with a 52-20 victory over Everett, made even more special by Joey Bartlett and Jonah Gallo picking up their first varsity wins. Entering the last week of the regular season, the Sox are playing for pride, not position. They won the first 2 against the Toronto Blue Jays, 4-1 in the 23rd and 6-5 in 10 innings on the 24th. In their 4-1 victory, Tanner Houck had a strong showing, giving up only 1 hit in 5 innings of work. Perhaps more impressive, Cedon Rafaela had 2 RBIs without registering a hit. Instead, he advanced the runners with productive outs. The next night saw the Sox down 3-0, but they scored twice in the 7th and again in the 8th to force extra innings. Every player on the bench got a start, as the Sox sent 17 different players to the plate and 8 pitchers to the mound. A 3-run 10th inning, courtesy of a double by Trevor Story, an RBI out by Connor Wong, and an RBI single by Vaughn Grissom was just enough for the win. They lost the finale 6-1. If you're wondering about Kings Beach, you're not alone. It has been the subject of many discussions surrounding the growing bacteria levels in the water. To this end, the executive director of Save the Harbor, Save the Bay came on the Lowdown to shed some light on the history of Stacy's Brook and current potential solutions to this problem. Here is the Lowdown. Hello and welcome back to the Lynn Lowdown. I'm Dani Vittori, and today we have on the Executive Director for Save the Harbor, Save the Bay. Thanks for coming on today.
Thanks, Dani. Happy to be here.
All right, so we're so glad to welcome you back, and you are coming back specifically to talk about the Kings Beach issue.
Yes.
So, would you mind running us through a little bit of that?
Run through it, just take care of it. Yeah. No, I know there's been a lot of talk about Kings Beach the last couple of years. We're really excited about that. It is routinely the least clean beach in the Commonwealth, which is A, why I moved up here, B, why we talk about it so much, and C, why there are so many people, I think, working really hard to address that issue. So I was so glad to be invited on today to just kind of give a general update, clarify a couple of things, including some advice for people who are out there using the water. But first off, we have a dirty beach at Kings Beach. Why do we have a dirty beach? It's because of Stacy's Brook. Stacy's Brook is, if you're standing on the boardwalk or down on the beach and it's low tide, you see basically a creek running from the seawall out into the water. That is Stacy's Brook. Hundreds of years ago, it was a nice little brook that ran through Lynn and Swampscott, and probably before there was a city and a town here. It's very picturesque. It comes from Floating Bridge Pond. But about 100 years ago, maybe a little more, we had a city coming up, and they turned that in. They culverted it. They built pipes around the brook to make it the sewer and stormwater system. This makes a lot of sense in a developing city because that's got to go somewhere. You don't want it to go in your basement. And there wasn't that many people. It wasn't really a big deal 120 years ago. Yeah. Now it becomes a big deal. We have so many people living here. Those pipes, keep getting older and older. And one really great thing was about 30 years ago, we separated, the Lynn Water and Sewer Commission separated the storm water from the sewer pipes. So Stacy's Brook technically only carries storm water, so the water coming from the brook itself and anything that rains. But when you get into the nuance, it's not just stormwater because, again, we have those really old pipes. The sewer pipe could be cracked. You have tree roots grow through things. This is not a unique problem for Lynn or for Swampscott. This is something that happens with every sewer system. They're underground. These ones were made of clay. So there's something called a consent decree from the EPA to both Lynn and Swampscott. You have to fix your pipes. Okay. And the good news is they are doing that. Yeah. It's a plan. There's a plan in place. There's multiple phases. You take a television camera up it. Not like these, but much smaller. You look at it, you go, oh, there's a crack, we better patch that crack. Oh, look, there's a tree root, we got to figure that out. Oh, look, there's a pipe that shouldn't be coming in there, let's move it to the right pipe. But that takes a long, long time because one day you send that camera up there and there's a lot of flow and you don't see the bottom half of the pipe. And you go, oh, that pipe looks pretty good. You go back a week later maybe and the pipe is dry, and you go, oh gosh, there's a huge crack in the bottom of that pipe. We didn't see that before. You ask Boston Water and Sewer, you ask anybody doing this type of work, this stuff takes a long time. So it's multiple phases. People can, residents could take the initiative and they could have their home system inspected. It's called the lateral. It runs from your house. You flush the toilet, it goes down the house, and then out to the main pipe in the street. So it's that part from the house to the street that the city is not technically responsible for, although they will go around and help that out by saying, hey, we'll test your lateral for you sometimes. I know I just got a letter in Swampscott because they're actually doing that next week. They're going to every house and they're trying to check out everyone's laterals. But you can get it checked out and make sure that's not contributing to the problem. Anyway, that's a lot of talking about the background of why we have a contaminated beach. And so the advice we have to everybody is when you go to the beach, don't go in the outfall. Don't go in the water that comes out of the seawall, whether that's Stacy's Brook at Kings Beach, whether you're at any one of our, if you're at Fisherman's Beach in Swampscott, there's an actual pipe you'll see. Yeah. It's not from a brook, but it will have flow, and that is contaminated flow. They're the most fun part of the beach too. It's it's flowing water, it's coming out like in a waterfall, but you don't go in it. It's not good for you. So that's the background.
And you were mentioning too before we came on the air, you said this is not uncommon having pipes that crack, that break, but there are more unique issues to Kings Beach that are making it even a more complex issue to solve. Yeah,
the unique issues are the age of the pipes, the material they're made out of. So, Swampscott's lining the pipes with PVC. So that is like a kind of a quick way. You put like a mold in, they blow in this liquid, it hardens and dries fast, and now you have an internal lining in this clay pipe. You've basically reinforced the pipe just like that. It's a pretty effective way to do it. So if, in theory, if we're able to get to every single pipe, repair them all, that in theory really should solve the problem. But it's not as simple. All of this is underground. Think about potholes in streets, right? You fix the street, you pave it, a couple years later you're gonna have to fix it again, right? Because the potholes are gonna emerge. This is wear and tear on your city infrastructure. So what we're looking at in Kings Beach, and there's a steering committee made up of Lynn and Swampscott and the state folks, the EPA. I sit on it as a kind of a community representative from Save the Harbor, Save the Bay. We meet as needed, try to do 4 to 6 times a year. We try to put all the minutes up on kingsbeachma.com. It's a different website than our website, but kingsbeachma.com has, hopefully, we try to keep that updated as much as possible. And so we're really looking at a complementary solution, a second thing we can do that's not required, but would actually get the beach open sooner. Right. Because it's a great beach. It is. Nahant's a great beach. It's right over there. It's always full. Kings Beach is gorgeous, and if it was clean, just picture, it's so wide at low tide, people would be using that all the time. It's Lynn's only beach, right? You can walk down to that from a lot of parts of the city in ways you can't quite get to Nahant as conveniently because it's so long on that causeway. But so the 3 things on the table right now that are being explored, none of this has been decided, and we all feel a sense of urgency. I know when I look on Facebook and I talk to my neighbors, it's why haven't we solved this yet? And I'm not trying to make excuses or anything, but it's it takes a long time. The repairs to the pipes take a long time, and being intentional and following the data and the science to make sure we're doing something that A, is going to work, B, isn't going to harm the ecosystem in a different way, and C, won't break the bank. So Do you want to hear about the three things we're looking at?
Yes, go for it. Yes. What are our three options?
Our three things that are being looked at right now are ultraviolet disinfection. People might be familiar with this. You blast it with UV light, just like it comes from the sun, and you disinfect the bacteria that way. The challenges to UV are you have to be able to get the light all the way through the water column. So if it's really cloudy, turbid water, like it won't work as effectively. But if you have to build an actual facility. We have to build an ultraviolet facility somewhere near the mouth of the brook. So we're pretty limited on space here in Swampscott and Lynn. It's pretty densely populated. There's only a couple spots that could work. But we are looking. The steering committee, Mayor Nicholson, is looking at a pilot of that to see if we could, if it will be effective, even in those sort of more, how it could handle those like more turbid, cloudy water days. So that's going on. There is the idea of extending the pipe. So the pipe ends at the beach, at the seawall right now. But if you were to extend the pipe out into middle of Lynn Harbor, what you do is you move that contamination away from people. It's already going into the harbor. It's diluting, by the time it gets farther out and over, time, but it's constant contamination. So the idea would be if you moved it away from people, yes, it's still going into the harbor. That's not great, but we are continuing to fix the pipes that would reduce that contamination, and that's what must be done. But again, you would get it off of the beach.
Right.
Advantages to that, it's a quote-unquote permanent solution, right? It doesn't have any operating cost. You would build it, and it would be there, and slowly that water would keep getting cleaner. To get that done, you would need to look at where the eelgrass beds are. It's a really important kind of habitat for a lot of eels and other vertebrates and things like that live out there, and make sure we do some examination of the, oh great, a wonderful photo of Stacy's Brook. For those of you who don't know it, that's it, don't go in it. And the currents, would this actually dilute quickly enough so that it wasn't contaminating the Hahn Beach in a different way or coming back to Kings Beach?
Right.
So again, we've got to do those studies before we put that in place. The last one, this is actually my personal preference at the moment, but we still have a lot of questions, is ozone disinfection. We know ozone will work just like chlorine would work, but we can't put chlorine into the ocean. It's a chemical. Same with ozone. There's a concern about how it's applied and will it kill things that you don't want to kill. We know this is being used in some lakes in Ohio and Florida pretty effectively. There's some really good data that shows it doesn't harm zooplankton, but we don't know if there's an effect on macroinvertebrates or vertebrates. So and DEP at the State Department of Environmental Protection has been really helpful in they don't have some of this doesn't even fall into their purview, but they've been really helpful looking at our data, looking at our questions and giving us advice. And they're very cautious. They're like, I don't know, you might want to look at this data, you might want to look at that, and things like that. So we're continuing to have meetings with the EPA over in Region 5 and just trying to follow it. But for folks who are out there going, why is this taking so long? Why can't we get this beach open? Those are the reasons. I mean, the thing that needs to be done and has to be done and everybody does do is being done, and it just takes a long time.
It takes a long time to go through miles of pipe.
Hundreds of miles.
Yeah, so much pipe. And even if you pick a solution tomorrow, you still either have to build something or get the materials. So any one of these solutions will work, but it does take a significant period of time.
Exactly, and all three of those take different periods.
Right.
The bigger the project, the longer it'll take, but yeah.
And I said, I do have to, wrap them in a moment. It feels like it went by so quickly.
I talked too much.
No, you did great. It's a great overview of it. But I just want to thank you again for coming on to talk about it and really giving people a look into, what solutions are being potentially thought of.
Yeah, absolutely. In the meantime, go check out the events that are going on on the dry part of the beach. We don't do a lot of swimming events at Kings Beach, but Diversity Matters Festival was a couple weeks ago. You got the concerts and movies in Red Rock Park. We were doing mandalas in the sand. There's some photos out on the sand on Kings Beach. And the Girl Scout troop up in Lynn and Swampscott and Marblehead. It's a really long number. I can't remember. My daughter's in it. They did a whole project, and there they are. You know, clean water, save Kings Beach. People are getting involved at all levels, so it's really cool.
Yes, they are, and they can check out your website, our website, or anywhere else to really stay updated on all the events that are happening here and in all the surrounding areas. And once again, I'm Dani Vittori. This has been the Lynn Lowdown, and we'll see you next week with more guests. Up next, the community calendar. Tomorrow, the 28th, go to the Lynn Museum and Arts Center at 1 p.m. to hear the reading of names from the National AIDS Memorial Quilt. 30 years ago, in October of 1994, during the height of the AIDS crisis, Lynners Claire Brewer and Mary Ellen Cooks created a panel consisting of a candle, a shoe, the silhouette of a church, and the words, quote, "St. Pius Catholic Community, Lynn MA remembers all our loved ones," end quote. It was sent to Washington, D.C., and became one of 50,000 panels in the AIDS Memorial Quilt as a living memorial for all those lost to AIDS. The quilt had returned to Lynn through September 28th. Celebrate the start of Hispanic Heritage Month with a flag raising and mini parade from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. at City Hall on October 1st. The procession will begin at the City Hall steps, loop around Lynn Common, and then back at the stairs for a brief speaking portion and the flag raising. Come to celebrate the strong Hispanic community in Lynn by displaying flags from a wide range of countries. Also, come enjoy some Halloween-themed fun at the second annual Pickleboo Tournament from 9 to 11 a.m. on October 5th. Taking place at the Clark Street Park pickleball courts, there is a $40 registration fee, a guarantee of 5 games, and 3 levels of mixed doubles play. Additionally, there will be raffles, where participants can win all kinds of prizes. All proceeds will be donated to the Lynn Special Needs Camp. With that, we wrap up the news for this week and this month. A fitting segue to spooky season, as events are beginning to reflect this change in season. To stay updated on all Halloween-related activities, or events in general, follow us on social media at Lynn Community Television. For news, our VOD, and the most complete community calendar, head to our website, lyntv.org. If you wish to focus only on videos, then our YouTube channel, Lynn Community Television, is a place for you. I'm Dani Vittori, this is LCTV News, and we will see you next week.
This episode of the LCTV News is brought to you by Encompass Health, North Shore Community College, Leo Inc., Brotherhood Credit Union, and Deolis Brothers Construction.